Thanks, you guys, for coming. There may be a couple more joining us. I'm not sure, but as I just mentioned to Benjamin, the main intent of starting these meetups was to have a place where business can have a voice, because very unlike most industries, crypto was started by devs and continues to be dominated in some ways by devs. So this is a place where business can have a voice and make sure that our priorities are heard, and we just have a place to talk as well. So uh,
Cool.
yeah. So thanks for coming. The topic that I set up for this time's discussion was about paying with crypto. Like, just specifically, what has been your experience with paying with crypto, with BCH specifically for general protocols, and whether it's worked for you or it's caused problems for you, or just in general how it's worked out. Benjamin, do you guys do payments with crypto? How does it work for you all?
Well, so my staff, so we're here based in Thailand,
Right.
and I've got we're at 28 people now, and although we do have one in Canada and we have a contractor in Germany. Germany guy takes crypto, but he's not a full-time person.
Ah,
All the local staff, that it's legal here, and in fact, Bitcoin Cash is fairly. I mean, there is just about everything you want you can buy. There's a lot of restaurants in particular that take crypto, thanks to Jaja is a big promoter here, and she's one of the Satoshi's angels and has a thing. So there's some pretty good adoption, but in order to convert it to Thai baht, the exchanges here have pretty high percentages, and it's a pain in the ass to get the the anti-money laundering registration stuff, all the credentials to open up an exchange account. So it's difficult for locals to get paid in it. However, I will say that I'm very happy to announce that I convinced my lawyers to start taking BCH,
that's huge.
and especially when you see the amount of money that I'm paying them.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Lawyers are like the last people ever who are
yeah,
willing to talk about crypto. So that's excellent.
yeah.
There's
That was pretty cool.
very nice. Okay, that's cool. Cool. Roger,
But my staff in general is very much pro crypto. It's just not very practical for them in terms of being able to live day to day on it.
okay, nice. There's one of our regulars, Luigi.
And Ben, maybe
Sorry.
I can suggest just giving the option of 10% or 20% of their pay, and make it optional to receive some sort of percentage, and that'll help spread the ecosystem that way as well. But totally up to you, of course.
Yeah, I honestly I haven't thought about it so much in terms of that. We've been more focused on setting up so businesses could accept crypto, and so my company, which is, if you go to biggestfan.live, you'll see what we do. It accepts crypto. We do real time performances with multi-way, so like the audience and the performers all see each other and all that, and so you can do real time tipping in that. And the first thing that we do in real time tipping was BCH, and we did that on a show last month. And also, my wife she just launched a lingerie and swimwear company here in Thailand, and they take crypto. Well, actually, specifically, they take BCH. So we focus on that, and honestly, I mean, I feel like I'm the cobbler's. These are my staff are the cobbler's kids. They do crypto and build crypto, but they don't wear it. And I haven't made the push for it, and I'm ashamed to say that. I will try. I will present this as a option. Of course, now it's kind of wavy. It's kind of it might be a hard sell, but as soon as things start going up again, might be more of it. Also, as a startup, I'm already convincing some of my staff to take some of their pay as equity. So it's like that's a double ask now: crypto, equity, and Thai baht.
Right. That's tough. We found for GP basically our story is that we fully prioritize all relationships that accept BCH, right?
Mm.
So somebody's echoing. If you could mute yourself. So we accept we highly prioritize cryptos, and I just found an interesting thing recently where for employees for team members, actually we don't have employees, we have all contractors, but for our team members, because we do that, and we're very upfront about it, right? When we start hiring people, it's one of our requirements. Hey, if this doesn't work for you, then probably things aren't gonna work out. And so one thing that we found is that like we're bringing developers in from completely outside of the BCH ecosystem, right? They've never touched BCH before, but just by doing that up front, we're kind of pre-filtering for people who are just generally more open-minded about business and money and how things work. And yeah, so we've had very little conflict or issues around payments with crypto just because we're upfront about it, and it's been interesting. But I think Roger maybe has the most experience out of anyone about paying in crypto. What have you learned from it, Roger?
I always offer it as an option. People like to have options. It's not as useful for you in Thailand there, Ben, but in the US or Japan, we have purse.io where you can tell everybody that they can save, 10, 15, 20% off every purchase from Amazon. That's really, really, people's eyes, get big as saucers when they hear that, and they just love it. And pretty much everything in my own life, I'm ordering through purse.io, via Amazon. They're using Bitcoin Cash there. So I don't know, long story short, give people the option. And I'm glad your business and your wife's business are accepting, Bitcoin Cash. And there's a bunch of restaurants in Bangkok there that are accepting Bitcoin Cash, and here in Tokyo as well. But if there aren't people with Bitcoin Cash, meaning that they're earning it because they're being paid in it, there's not going to be any customers to frequent those businesses that do accept it. And if they don't ever get a customer paying with it for months and months, then eventually they're going to lose interest and fall off the Bitcoin Cash bandwagon. So I think it's important to have not only businesses accepting it as payment, but also businesses paying their employees in it. So please consider giving your people the option there. You don't have to make it mandatory. But at Bitcoin.com, there's 100 and something people. All of them are paid 100% in Bitcoin Cash. And the way we handle that is we tell them that if the price drops more than like 5% within, I think we give them 48 hours of when the payout is, we'll top them back up to whatever the fiat value is of what they're supposed to do. And then I'm sure lots of them are probably using the AnyHedge platform there that General Protocols built the back end stuff for to hedge their cryptocurrency in fiat terms. So
nice. Okay, so 5% to give them a chance in case the exchange there's some slippage or whatever. Then okay,
or
nice.
It's not so much exchange slippage; it's price fluctuation. So like if let's say we owe them $5,000 for the month, and we send them $5,000, but then suddenly the exchange rate plummets down to $4,000, 3 hours after we paid them, and maybe they were asleep because there's people all over the world. We top them back up so that they get their full amount that they're promised each month, and so their salary is denominated in fiat terms, but the payouts are all in BCH.
I see. Yeah, that's the same thing we do. Ours are denominated in Singapore dollars, and we pay out in BCH. Yeah, same deal. And Ramit, are you guys paying in crypto?
Yeah. Fortunately, I found employees that are, I convinced them that getting paid in Bitcoin Cash is better than getting paid in rupees.
Yeah,
so,
man.
Yeah.
Talking with candidates from India has been really interesting. Like pretty much the first thing everyone says is, well, it's illegal. And I'm like, well, it's not, but okay, everybody, it's a very confused situation in India with the media saying different things.
Yeah, it's just the media that says that, but there's no government ruling that it's illegal.
Yeah.
But yeah, we also pay our employees completely in crypto.
Nice. And actually that brings up what Roger was saying, hundreds of people. That like makes me have a panic attack because there's not a whole lot of infrastructure around doing payroll in Bitcoin Cash or just crypto in general. And like, it's time consuming. Roger, how do you guys do that? Do you have any idea how you actually do the payouts? Have you guys developed some kind of internal systems or anything for that?
Yeah, and I think there's a spreadsheet somewhere that has everybody's. We're not asking for fresh addresses each month. So
Okay.
we're reusing addresses for each person each month.
I see.
Hopefully, we can get everybody to give us one of their reusable payment addresses now from the new Electron Cash wallet, which I'm a big fan of, and then we can just use that, and then people will have a bit more privacy on that front as well. I guess what was his name? Who was the big Bitcoin CashFusion big brain guy here in Japan?
Mark Lundenberg.
Mark Lundenberg. Yeah, he's probably the right one to talk to. But I keep, my paranoid brain keeps thinking that governments obviously don't like a lot of what crypto is enabling people to do.
Oh yeah.
On the CashFusion front, I'm concerned that they're going to try and run a whole bunch of other fusing nodes so that they can spy on it. So, like, let's say there's like 5 participants in a CashFusion. But 4 of the 5 are chain analytics companies.
Yeah.
And there's only one actual person.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that maybe using, and again, Mark is probably the right guy to talk to about it, but maybe you have some thoughts on this too. If we were to have all the different payouts that everybody's signing for the CashFusions being the reusable payment addresses, that might obscure and make CashFusion even way more private than it is already.
Maybe.
And so that's been bouncing around in the back of my head for a couple of months now. And again, if you have any thoughts on that, feel free. But I would like to be able to make CashFusion even more private. So, like, if 4 of the 5 participants are, chain analytics company, it still doesn't matter. They still can't figure out whose money is going where.
Yeah,
so,
that would be fantastic if we can do that. I think the RPAs, the reusable payment addresses, do depend on specific information between the 2 parties. So it may not work directly, but that's exactly like you said. That's a big brain question that that Mark or maybe Benjamin, if you've looked into it. I know Benjamin is deeply technical as well, but I'm not sure how much time you've spent looking at Fusion.
I have not looked into the details of it in terms of how they've actually gone and done it. So I don't I couldn't answer that.
Okay,
it is an interesting thing.
Yeah, one other fun side note on that too is the current Bitcoin.com wallet team had a really, really hard time trying to figure out how they could even get it to work on a mobile wallet.
Yeah,
and so I gave Jonald a bit of a stipend to try and get it working on the Electron Cash mobile wallet, and hopefully he'll be successful with that. And if he is, then I can go back to the Bitcoin.com team and say, hey, these other guys did it. You guys need to figure out a way to do it too.
It is possible. Yeah, that's a big one, just to say it is possible. Yeah. The mobile has extra difficulties because of Tor, the requirement for Tor, right?
Yeah, and then it has to run in the background. Which mobile app can't do too much.
They don't like background stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So as far as the payments goes, you guys have some kind of semi-automated system with fixed payout addresses. And for anybody who's watching this or in the group right now, the RPAs, reusable payment addresses, will be absolutely huge, because it'll be exactly like Roger said, where you can give somebody a single address and then you can continuously receive to different addresses.
Or the other thing too is, like, let's say you're running a restaurant somewhere and you're accepting Bitcoin Cash, but you just have it on a piece of paper and a QR code there that you're accepting. You don't want every single customer or the tax man or whoever else coming in and knowing exactly how many crypto payments you've received. Whereas now with this RPA code, you can use the same code over and over, and none of the people paying you know what other people have paid you. So it's really a fantastic way. It makes the Bitcoin Cash addresses basically like Monero addresses, in that the people paying don't know what other payments you've received. And that's very, very, very important, I think, to the fungibility of Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah, and without having to give new addresses every time, that's a huge, it's just can't be overstated how nice that will be. And additionally, of course, it's worth saying that you can still reverse that process, right? So as a business owner, you can still fully audit and transparently audit everything and show, hey, these are all my numbers. So it's not I don't know, from my perspective, it even has an advantage over Monero, where I can actually prove to you all the things that I've done.
If necessary.
If necessary, if you want to, right?
This actually solves a problem that we have for the tipping application, because we don't know what the wallet address is of the person who is sending the tip, and we want to credit them, right? The fact that they gave a tip pops up in the middle of the show saying so and so gave a tip, and so what we do is we have to generate a new address for every single tip, so that we know that it belonged to the person who is sending it, rather than identifying who the receiver is. And then we have to have a separate piece of software that's tracking all these addresses belong to this performance. But if you had that kind of addressing scheme, that just kind of takes care of it for you. You now have the reusable address for the performance, but every time somebody sends a tip, we know that the address that got associated is going to identify the sender in terms of giving them credit for the tip. So that's a pretty cool feature that we need to incorporate this, actually.
Yeah, it's huge.
It saves a lot of bookkeeping.
The cost is that there is some computing cost involved on both sides, which is non-trivial. So it needs to be sorted out and experimented with and tried out, but I think it's going to be a big deal. Can I get a quick mic check? Oh, I see Marcel joined us. Is that right? I can't see the name here.
Yep, that's me.
Hey, what's up, Marcel?
And I see Cameron. Just want to say hi to Cameron.
Cameron just joined also.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you, Cameron.
Hey guys, love you guys too.
We're just talking about the pain and joys of paying people with crypto. Have you had any specific good stories with that? Has it worked for you or not worked?
I think I do most of my work in crypto these days. As a matter of fact, I have to pay someone with fiat now, and it's actually kind of weird. It's just like I'm literally going to pull out Japanese. I'm going to get paid in crypto and then change it to yen and then go deliver it to them over lunch or something.
Oh man.
But I do have an interesting one. I do work with people in Venezuela sometimes, where fees are obviously a big deal. And the weirdest one that's come up lately is somebody's asking me to pay them in USDT on the Tron network specifically.
Yeah.
The other option, equally good, is Bitcoin Cash. So obviously I went with that one. But it's just very interesting, like even USDT Tether. I've had people say that they want USDT, ERC20, but this is the first time where someone's like, no, it's got to be on Tron. Just because the fees.
Tron is the main network. Tron is their primary network now for USDT. Yeah.
Wow.
And actually, while we're all on this call, like I think everybody in Bitcoin Cash, I don't think they are aware of it, but they should be aware of this FlexUSD stablecoin from the CoinFlex guys. Like they pay you interest right there on chain to your wallet, and then you can swap it back out to USDC on ERC20 anytime you want, and then you can do whatever you want with it from there. And it works right there in the Bitcoin.com wallet. You can bounce it around. I really am a big fan of FlexUSD, and any stable coin anybody ever pays me, I'm just converting it right there into FlexUSD until I buy BCH or whatever else I do with it. So,
and it'll sit there. Yeah, the SLP is nice. You have to consolidate it every once in a while, but yeah, it just sits there on your wallet and just pays you every 8 hours. Actually, FlexUSD pays out every 8 hours. It's interesting stuff. Yeah, the USDT in Venezuela, I've actually heard the same. So I'm working with somebody right now to come up with a very small investment opportunity for their business. They want to do something with BCH. And they're like, so we're going to accept BCH and USDT. And I'm like,
USDT is on top of BCH as an SLP token too. You guys anyone can withdraw it from Bitfinex, but I kind of feel like Bitfinex's heart isn't really with it, but I also think part of why Tron got so much traction is they have the easy multi-sig wallets for the USDT. I know Bitcoin.com, it's taken forever, but I know the team is actively writing the code and working on re-adding multi-sig to the Bitcoin.com wallet. So you'll be able to do multi-sig, USDT or FlexUSD or BCH or whatever else you want in there. And that'll be pretty useful.
With it all coordinated like it was on the old Copay wallet?
Yeah, similar to that. And we'll see what the final product is once it's out. But yeah, similar to that.
That will be so nice. Yeah, multi-sig is a big time sink and it takes a lot of education. I spent quite a significant amount of time educating people how to use multi-sig and to operate as a company founder's wallet or as a investment wallet or something like that. So yeah, that would be very nice to have something
Yeah,
that doesn't
it'll be
require so much expertise. And same for payroll. I practically think about general protocols. I'm like, maybe our next app should be a payroll app just for me.
I think a lot of people would appreciate some sort of payroll accounting app software suite.
Corbin worked on a thing a long time ago called Broccoli, the Broccoli app. And it was basically a payroll app. It just had some issues where like it would pay out everybody in a single transaction and stuff like that. So it was a little bit iffy on the privacy side, but yeah, they did it up for a hackathon, I think.
You know, I have to say, I know it's like super unsexy, but just, and like, no, like, I don't even want to bring it up usually when I talk to cryptocurrency people, just how important having like good tax tools would be. Like it took me, I don't even want to talk about how long it took me to get cryptocurrency payments comfortably into QuickBooks and the system I had to come up with for it. And I mean, like, yeah, I get the whole, like, you know, no tax thing, like, that's fine. But like, I think that there's a lot of people that are like, would like to just know how to do things without being a criminal, you know? So like, for whatever reason, right? And so like, I feel like no one wants to tackle it, but like for crypto payments, yeah, it feels like a really hard sell for me. I don't think anyone's going to hear me say that and be like, yeah, let's do that. But like, if you could get payroll and like a nice, clean tax system, that would be wonderful.
I think that rolls into the same thing that you and I have talked about a lot, Cameron, which is just bringing more business onto BCH and get more businesses interested in using it. Once that happens, all that stuff will just poof, it'll just magically happen, right? Because there's going to be a demand for it. And yeah, there's already an internal demand. Like everybody who's ever had to do it is now a clear demand for that stuff. Right?
Yeah. Or I guess
tools.
the other option is just with those new the FATF guidelines that was posted on our Bitcoin a week or two ago.
Yeah, which basically amount to give up.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
well give
Stop
up
using crypto.
or just stop trying to play in their garden and just stop trying to ever convert to fiat. It's almost like I'm not saying that this is the way, but it's like just stop trying to interact with them. Just say like,
Right.
fine, we'll do peer-to-peer stuff and we won't ever try to convert it to yen
Right.
or USD.
Right. Yeah, I'm pretty much resigned to being a high-risk individual at this point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people in the world about to get classified as such. We'll see.
Yeah.
Interesting. So actually, just moving on from the payment stuff, there is another kind of interesting aspect which I don't think anybody's really making use of, but which is, you know, the idea that with crypto you can do more interesting payment arrangements. Like, you know, somebody I remember reading, they had the idea that when you're a worker, you know, when you're waiting tables at a restaurant and somebody pays the bill, they don't pay the restaurant and then the restaurant pays you. They pay a piece to you and they pay a piece to the restaurant. So there's some interesting things that you can do with crypto because of the low friction that aren't really possible. But I don't think anybody's really making use of those yet. Are you? Has anybody heard of something like that?
Well, we're setting this up for our live performances.
Oh, really?
Because so what we believe is that what we're creating is the first legitimate business model for music on the internet, right? Because the internet destroyed the pre-recorded music industry, and nobody's been able to figure out anything that allows the venues and the promoters, which are really the people who do the business, along with the artists and the fans, to get their cuts. And so what we are going to be doing is setting up performance contracts when there is a performance that already sets in place. Okay, the promoter gets this percentage, the band gets this percentage, the venue gets this much, and you know, whoever else is in there. And as the ticket sales come in, it will be allocated immediately across that. And so everybody, because there's, you know, music business, there's a lot of fraud and who gets paid what in there, especially the artists getting screwed, really? Right? A whole bunch. And so now everyone could actually look, you know, if they know what the key accounts are that is going in, everyone can see that everybody got paid their due. And so that's a key part of what we're offering in our platform is when you set up an event, you can set up the relationship between who all is going to get what cut And, you know, there's various stage levels. It's not just a strict percentage necessarily. It's like, you know, like a band would get like a guarantee of 30,000 baht. So the first 30,000 baht goes to them, and then after that, it's all split this way. So it can get fairly complicated. But we want to build that. I think if PMV3 comes in this coming May or whatever is going to be the equivalent of it, I think we could do the entire thing in a decentralized contract. Right now, it's a little bit too complicated to represent on BCH directly. Although we could do it, we could represent it in smart BCH. I'm waiting to see how easy it is to move stuff between the chains before I commit to that. But that's going to be an interesting technology. But yeah, we're going to make, our intention is to make that as decentralized, to make that a pure contract, decentralized, so that, you know, it can be a trustless model, right? So because the promoters and the artists might be on different continents and never meet each other.
Nice.
And so how are you going to trust it? And typically a band gets paid immediately after the performance, like as soon as they get off the stage, here's your money, kind of a thing. And so you want something that enables that, and that's hard to do with fiat if you're on if it's remote, right? Because you got to do bank transfers and all that, and artists aren't very well banked. So crypto becomes a good option for this. So I think it is one of the disruptive aspects that we're promoting when we talk to bands and promoters about this.
That is awesome. Yeah, those types of arrangements definitely going to become more powerful with the evolution of BCH, because I mean, as I think most people here know, the UTXO based development just totally stalled in 2017, like just totally went off the rails. So yeah, we're getting back to it, and that kind of thing is going to become possible, but yeah, it needs some time. I'm looking forward to that too. Actually, the aspect you mentioned about the kind of everybody can see that things are going as they're supposed to go, I think that's a huge one that's underestimated. Like with AnyHedge, you can have for example, if you had like a stable coin, then you could prove the backing of it, right? Which is something that's clearly has been an ongoing issue since the beginning with Tether and other stable coins. But being able to at least just point to it and be like, it's right there. You know, you can see it. That's a very nice thing to be able to do. And like you said, with further smart contract capabilities, it'll just become more integrated and more trustless. So that'll be nice to see.
Yeah, I know everyone, you know, talks about the secrecy and privacy aspects of crypto, which, I mean, as a crypto person, that's key to me. But every time I'm talking about it, I'm always talking about the transparency aspects of it. So we were launching a coin that was on Stellar a few years back, and I don't know if you know, Thailand's SEC has put forward some very progressive rules regarding crypto. Just like shocking that this came out of Thailand, and it's run by a bunch of ladies, and they're really smart and they get it. And but the anti-money laundering ministry here is freaking insane. They don't get it. They don't understand it. The KYC requirements to transfer 100 million baht is the same as transferring 1 baht on crypto, and so it sort of cripples the thing. I actually set up the first meeting that had the head of the anti-money laundering ministry and the head of the SEC in the same room together to talk this out. And the point that I made to them is like, look, you know, you guys are concerned about this anti-money laundering stuff, but it's so hard for you to get the information about it. It's all on the freaking blockchain. You can watch it as it happens. You don't even need to, you know, have a subpoena. And I pointed out, you know, like Jack Ma has his own private freaking currency that's got a bigger capitalization than the GNP of most countries on the planet. And you just have to trust him about this stuff. And it's moving money all over the world. You have no idea what's going on there. And if you just let us do it on crypto, you would see what all the transfers were, and you have a good idea of where it's going. And businesses are going to be using fairly public addresses. So you're going to, you know, it's going to be easy to weed this stuff out. So the transparency aspect, I think, is the big sell for, you know, legitimate classical businesses to, you know, protect them, because banks can't do banking anymore because of all the overhead of the anti-money laundering stuff and the KYC requirements. They're simply being put out of the business. It's you know, I think they're going to force people, like you were saying earlier, that you're going to have to be crypto.
You know what I wanted to say too, like usually my stance is to not pick fights with governments. You know, like I might not be a fan, but like, you know, it's like, why start a fight I can't win? But I do have to say that the AML stuff might have to be a fight that starts. We might have to start some kind of grassroots thing against that, because it seems to be that is where the big problems come up. And it's such a dumb thing. Like the whole concept is dumb, and it just gets in the way of everything. And like you said, it slows down traditional banking too. So I don't know. Sorry, I don't have any actual thoughts on that other than like, that might be a problem we have to face at some point.
And it doesn't work either, right? Like it's completely ineffective at its intended goal as well. So yeah.
Well, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So they're concerned that people are going to do transfers that can't be tracked, and now we can't do transfers. They've locked up the entire banking system, so now we have to move off of it and do transfers that can't be tracked.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, you know what?
I don't necessarily think that's an accident. You know, here's my parents.
Well, I often think that same kind of thing about you know, like freedom of speech stuff on the internet. So it's like they take people that like want to talk about one thing, and they're like, no, you can't talk about that. And so they force them into like the deep, dark abyss of the internet, where then they're forced to be like actually radicalized. And I just think it's the funniest thing ever. So it's the same thing. It's like, hey, we don't want any terrorism, so don't buy bubble gum without telling us. And like, okay, so I'll just use Monero then. Okay.
The term for that is triangulation. And it is a specific mechanism to, you know, cast out opposing positions and make them look radical so they aren't considered. Check out triangulation, because that is a specific way of attacking an opponent's political views without having political capital to do so.
Well, just a real quick, is there a TLDR of how to get around it, or is it not solved yet?
No, it's very effective.
Okay, that's what I was afraid of, because I don't have it yet. Yeah.
I mean, transparency is what you have to have. You know,
I was going to mention one more aspect, because I think that is a really important point, Ben, that and this is maybe one of those quiet things that you don't say out loud in public too much, but
on recorded voice chats.
Yeah, those are fine. Those are fine. because the transparency that we're talking about, like in contrast, like a CBDC, right? Is going to advertise transparency, but 100% chance that transparency is going to be one way, right? It's going to be a one-way mirror type situation, right? You're not going to have visibility into the Fed's book because of this, or into their transactions or whatever, or who they're paying. So one of the great things about the transparency that we're talking about is that it's actual transparency, right? It's actual full transparency on all parties. There's no, there is going to be asymmetry. There always is asymmetry in information, but the asymmetry is going to be incredibly less, orders of magnitude less than what exists now, or than what it would exist with a CBDC. So, I think that's a big aspect to discuss as well. Although that may not be the talking point when you're talking with a government. I don't know. Not sure. Talk about other governments. Those guys are going to have to be transparent. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, a quick summary to that might be, I think this is what you were trying to get at earlier, Ben, is that the way to solve the triangulation, the impossible solve, is to just go full transparency on our side and just be like, no, we're even more, we're better than you are at the job before they get a chance.
Maybe so.
When Facebook announced their, currency and was trying to get that pushed out, I was a big proponent of it, even though it was not legit crypto, because I knew that as soon as some big article comes out that somebody's coins got locked up, that it would be the gateway drug to legit crypto, right? Everyone would suddenly understand the difference, that it can be locked up. So maybe these CBDCs will be that.
Man, they shut that down so fast. It was incredible.
Yeah, hard.
I mean, just that got slapped down so hard, because
hey guys, we have a little bit of a special guest in here today that I think you guys will like to be happy to hear from. Long story short, didn't mean to run us off topic too much, but the point of this call is business development stuff, and what do businesses need to build on top of BCH. Well, someone who knows a thing or two about building big giant businesses with huge millions and millions of users around the world. We have Kim Dotcom is on the call with us here. So
hey, welcome.
Say hi, Kim.
Hi guys, I'm just listening in with interest. Go ahead.
Yeah, right. Welcome. And yeah, just to make sure everybody knows, this is being recorded. This is actually the first of these commerce meetings that's being recorded. All of them previously have been private. So, all right. So welcome. It's good to have you. Yeah. So payments and transparency. I'm with you, Cameron. And you know, we have discussed that aspect of kind of being what's the word that we use? Uncompromising, right? Just just
unapologetic.
Unapologetic. Yeah. I can't even remember my own words. Unapologetic is the word, and saying, you know, this is what we do, and this is how it works, and these are the properties it has, and that's just what it is, and that's who we are, and not trying to really beat around the bush with it, because things are kind of coming out on the table around now with world events and AML and KYC and just a lot of things are all the cards are starting to come onto the table. So maybe it's the time to just be unapologetic and say, yeah, this is what we do. We're transparent. We're fully transparent. Nice. Okay.
So in this theme of making things, being ready for regular businesses, this actually is what speaks to my heart. So, you know, you were talking earlier about, you know, how exciting it is to do payroll and all this kind of stuff. I'm going even duller than that, man.
Take me down to Boring Town.
Yeah, well, actually, I thought I was going to have it done last night, but I got distracted, so I'll have it done this weekend. I'm about to publish what I titled the BCH Non-Functional Manifesto, which is going to be the most dull flip starter ever proposed. And it is entirely focused on the non-functional aspects of our ecosystem. Because what I discovered is also somebody who had a company that tried to adopt BCH. It's incredibly painful to, you know, let's think of, even if you're a development organization, which a lot of companies aren't even actual development organizations, if they don't have experience with people who are really intimately aware of how UTXOs work and how Bitcoin works all the way back to the thing, it is a 4 to 6 month investment before you can start if you're educating yourself from scratch, because of all the non-functional aspects, right? The non-functional aspects are the qualitative aspects of availability, reliability, testability, general standard procedures that have to be present that any other development organization that's commercial is completely absent in our ecosystem. And therefore also it's almost impossible to find developers who are competent at BCH, you know, for people to hire. Like if I want to scale up my development team with a bunch of BCH programmers, how do I find them? You know, or how do I train them up? And so that is what this manifesto is specifically going to be about. Is, you know, and these are all the non-sexy things, right? Everybody who is a BCH developer wants to do the cool new features, but we do the cool new features, but we don't architect in scalability. You know, the whole reg test mechanism is the first thing that we had. We have to have isolated dev test environment that works really well and is easy to spin up. And so we did the BCH toolkit. That was the first project that my team did, because if we don't have repeatable unit and integration testing, we don't have a project as far as our development processes goes. And we're not the only ones. It's the majority of the world that knows how to do proper development. And you can't do that on top of BCH. Ethereum is kind of where you have to go to, because it's got the only thing that's got any tooling, and their tooling is pretty crappy. I mean, I did a lot of Ethereum development, and we did a lot of investment in improvements into that. So this is where it's going to go. This is the direct, and you know, I'd be happy to talk about it more, but it's dull, right? You're not going to get any exciting open source developers who are going to jump in and say, this is what I want to spend the next year focused on. But we want to do this in a manner where we're going to set standards and show how it's done, and show the value to the individual developer so that they will adopt this for themselves. So hopefully it just becomes things like everyone now uses Docker, which is a great thing. Hopefully some of these other techniques and processes will be adopted by developers, you know, in general. Hopefully people who are funding development will insist on some of these standards, right? Like I need to have 100% unit test coverage on the code base. Well, that's what allows it to be extensible and to have legs rather than be abandoned all the time, right? So we got, like with the Electron Cash SLP fork, you know, Electron Cash is going forward and doing fine, but unfortunately the way the SLP fork was done, there's a tight coupling between the UI code and the backend code. And if they had done unit testing, if they had a repeatable test environment and were forced to be able to execute all that code in a automated manner, they would have never been able to go that far that direction. They would have had to refactor the thing and make it sustainable. Now there's no way those code bases can ever be merged back again, and the SLP version of Electron Cache is turned into abandonware. So this kind of stuff will help prevent that kind of thing from happening. Is what I'm hoping, and also make it attractive for regular development companies to target BCH as the ultimate target is where they want to do their transactions, which gets into, okay, how do I add BCH as a payroll mechanism? If you have tooling that supports the ability to test this and do this, you will see that people who are writing normal accounting software, you got to make it easy for them to incorporate BCH into the system. Without a local dev test environment, BCH developers are coding on the mainnet and spending real money when they write their code. This is unimaginable to me, and it's not anything that any real company would ever even consider doing. Yeah. And the cost of getting a local network is just is nuts. So we've turned that into a 3 command line prompt, and it works. But we got to maintain that, right? We got to keep on taking the patches, because we're coordinating like 8 different packages in order to do this, because you got the SLP support and SLPDB and all that, and the Fulcrum indexer, and we want to support multiple nodes. So this kind of stuff we want to make a thing, and so I'm hoping it gets some traction. I'll post it up on our GitHub, and then I'll make a BCH research, BitcoinCashResearch.org link that will focus on it. So hopefully we can get some conversation about it. But then I want to host. I will host a television format thing using our platform here in a week or so to do this. So
great. I'll be looking forward to that. And I wanted to mention, reinforce two of the things you said, or the thing about SLP. The SLP Electron, I think, will eventually be probably recoded. It'll be adapted into the main Electron. So I just wanted to make sure to anybody who's listening that's not, SLP isn't just going to go poof and disappear. It's just
Correct.
that those two code bases aren't going to re-merge together. That's just not going to work technically that way. But a bigger point that you mentioned, which I think is worth reiterating, is that even Ethereum, which has had so much investment, has not had investment in these types of things that we're talking about, which is actually using crypto for commerce and regular business and regular day-to-day things. That's just not been really applied very much anywhere in crypto. So I think it's another opportunity. Those boring things is another opportunity for Bitcoin Cash to be a leader, where we actually have that kind of laser-focused vision, right? Like, we're trying to be high utility, useful in commerce, useful for business. It's not really that sexy of a thing, but nobody's doing it. So it's another opportunity for us.
Right, and you see when the NFTs became popular, during that burst of activity, we lost a real chance to be the premier platform for NFTs, because they all got locked up because the wallet wasn't able to verify. And so we went ahead and we forked the Electron Cash SLP, and we turned into an Electron Cash SLPDB, so it would use the SLPDB indexers to unlock people. So there were several people who, and it's not like we were wanting to support this long term, but it was just to get people to be able to do the thing. Whenever we have some really cool innovation, like smart BCH is coming out, that's going to attract a lot of developers. They're going to be curious to try that out. Mm-hmm. When if PMV3 comes out next May, if we don't have the infrastructure so that this stuff can scale, if we don't have a financial incentive for people to participate in the infrastructure and extend the infrastructure, so that scalability and availability of these core systems is just a given. Everyone just trusts that it's there because there's a financial mechanism incentive for all the participants to do that right. Then we're never going to get the kind of traction and adoption that our technical capabilities would enable. And so that's kind of the theme that I'm pushing.
That's what I hope everyone will do in this group, right? The people who are actually involved in commerce need to have a voice and need to make sure the voice is heard, and not, and I've said this many times before, but the developers, some people demonize developers, like developers don't know what they're doing, and they try to control the financial aspects or the economic aspects and stuff like that. And it's really the reverse of that. It's more like nobody else has been involved. Developers were the only ones who were involved the whole time. So of course they're the ones who are setting the policy. But the thing is, developers know that they don't even want to be doing that stuff, right? So yeah, right. Businesses need to step up and make sure the voice is heard.
Devs want to do the cool geeky stuff, and this ain't it. This is dull.
But they'll be happy to work on the things. It quickly
becomes more than 80% of the effort is the non-functional support. When you're trying to do something that scales really wide.
Devs are actually happy to work on that stuff when they know it's important, and also, you know, like any other regular human who isn't independently extremely wealthy, right? When they can support themselves doing it. So that's where we come in to come up with business models that actually make use of the core values of Bitcoin Cash, crypto, whatever, and bring it to the market. So actually on that point, I wanted to ask if anybody, I think most of us probably know what each of us are working on, the main things, but is anybody working on something that's kind of under the radar, but you can mention, or something that's interesting in commerce, some kind of business ideas or investments, that kind of thing that's going on with you? Does anybody have something like that? So for general protocols, something going on somewhat under the radar, just because it's our development process, is we understood that the current generation of apps that are possible with Bitcoin Cash is very limited because of that stop on development in 2017. And just basically UTXO, all the potential of UTXO has not been realized in any way over the last 3-4 years. And we're trying to reverse that and build up a wallet stack that makes all of that, you know, scripting and so forth, all of that capability available to any app. Because right now what it is there's you have this app idea and you have all this potential, and there's a huge technical gap between them where you've got to cross quite a chasm and learn a huge number of skills and a pretty deep set of knowledge to be able to figure things out and make it all work, because the available tools all work at this level or at this level. And there's nothing in between. And so we're working on building up a stack that's going to basically make that infrastructure available at the right levels and the right abstractions so that people can build an app without having to become Bitcoin Cash experts. And it's a little different from what Mainnet is doing. So we're not trying to compete with Mainnet or do the same things that they're doing. It's a different issue to what that is doing. So that's something that we're working on. And then personally, I'm working on finding small entrepreneurs. So I just look for people who work hard and are good communicators. And then I try to work with them to come up with some kind of unique investment opportunity or business model that will work in their kind of micro situation. So looking for that kind of opportunity and helping people build those up. If anybody has seen the Ali crypto, the tennis thing, Molecular was the main person, but Molecular and I helped them to develop a kind of a mini business model around their tennis promotion and things like that. So that's the kind of stuff I'm working on these days.
So how is general protocols? You say it's not going on the mainnet. Is this stuff that you intend to run on the normal BCH? Or?
Sorry, no. Mainnet is the name of a project run by the guy who operates Read Cash and Noise Cash.
Ah, okay.
It's a API layer at the very top that makes it easy to do certain things, but those things that you can do are quite limited.
Right. So what? So I've looked at some of the source code of how are you guys are doing your stuff, and the crazy workarounds you have to do because math is broken on the VM and stuff is nuts, and this is definitely something that has to be addressed. I'm hoping that's part of that's why I also asked the PMV3 guys to split out their integer their math solution as a separate chip, just because it's critical and important in and of itself. And so I hope that gets in for May, and that will greatly reduce your code complexity. But it is, the limitations of the VM, which, there's right reasons for it to be limited, because we don't want the full Turing completeness. We want the protection and safety that it provides. But then there's also, okay, I can't do multiply and divide. That has nothing to do with that. That's a solely different issue. Has to be addressed. I'm feeling good that by this coming May, we'll have changes in the VM that will do this. But now the expressiveness, like what PMV3 does with the contracts on there, it's a really complex thing it's beyond what a normal programmer is going to be. We have to have a higher level of expression to do that. And my actual thing that I'm most interested in is language design. And I was a Forth programmer from back in the early 80s.
Nice.
Of course, Forth is a stack machine. The EVM and the Bitcoin systems are stack machines underneath. They're kind of broken stack machines. It's very apparent that the people who created those had never actually used anything to the extent of being like a hardcore Forth programmer.
It was pseudo Forth. Yeah.
Yeah. But the whole thing about Forth is that a real good Forth program, you don't write much code in Forth. What you do is you create a DSL, a domain-specific language in Forth, and then you write your app in the DSL. And so I've been creating a type-safe language called ActorForth, which is like Forth, except for it's got a very strong expressive type system. And it's intended to be able to target, initially the EVM is when I started it. But then fees went up and it became impractical, and I got turned on to BCH, and we switched over to that. And so hopefully the idea is you can write something in a higher level language, and it'll compile down to cache to Bitcoin Cash script, and be able to do all those, all that juggling and crazy stuff that you guys are having to do manually. Which is, there's no way we're going to get regular people to do that.
Exactly.
I think it sounds like you're trying to. Can you? Maybe this is too technical for this thing. We can talk offline, but I'd be curious what your model is for addressing that expressibility problem, because that sounds like you're attacking the same problem from a different direction.
We're attacking it from the bottom up instead of from the top down. It's typically been attacked from the top down, like, hey, I want this app to do this thing, and give me a layer that does that. But when you do that, it doesn't really mesh with how UTXOs actually work, right? So we're building from the bottom up and saying, this is all the power that's available to you with UTXO. We're going to make all that power available at every layer, bring it all the way up to the top, and make sure that smart contracts have secure ways of trusting them and establishing trust and building transactions between people and that kind of thing. But yeah, you're right. This is probably not the right place for that specific discussion. Actually, we're running up on 1 hour, and I wanted to ask one more question. So Roger and Kim, you guys are in the room. If you have any thoughts or kind of closing thoughts on what it is Bitcoin Cash businesses, ecosystem developers, whatever could do, what are the most important next steps to make it friendly to business and to make it actually start to be, to make commerce start to work with crypto?
Yeah, I think it's already great for business.
Nice.
What's important is that we get more adoption, more users, more vendors to sign up to it. And the easiest way to do that are some low-hanging fruit that Roger and I are working on. For example, in the gaming industry, gamers these days, they want to make money while gaming. So they should be having options to sell the loot that they earn inside the game. And, the best integration for that would be Bitcoin Cash. Also in the streaming sector, a lot of people are streaming video now, streaming their gaming. So we're creating tools for streamers to allow them to reign BCH on their entire community and on members of the community to rain Bitcoin Cash onto other members of the community, and therefore create a bit of a hype and get everyone to sign up to BCH. So there are a number of different projects that Roger and I are working on to make sure that we get more adoption and more users into BCH. I think businesses already have a really good solution once they implement BCH. It's pretty straightforward.
And just one other fun tool that should be ready by the end of this month for the first test is basically you can take whatever mailing list, you import your mailing list with 100,000 email addresses, and then you can send one of those, if you're familiar with gifts.bitcoin.com, you can send a QR code with a private key that's unique to each. You can send $1 to 100,000 people on a mailing list, so it costs $100,000. But anybody that doesn't claim it after 30 days or whatever, you can just sweep the funds back to your own wallet there too. So it's going to be a really powerful onboarding tool for any sort of new product that anybody wants to promote. So like currently with Google AdWords or apps in the Apple App Store, they'll charge you per impression or however many impressions, and like maybe you wind up spending a couple of dollars per install you get. Well, now you can just pay the person directly in the cryptocurrency, and so I think this is going to be pretty popular. And so Mate Toke has been project managing that, and it looks like we're going to have it ready around the end of the month. So that'll be exciting as well.
That is a great idea. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys working on the larger scale stuff. That it's only possible up there. Yeah, those onboarding efforts like Noise Cash, Read Cash, what you're talking about, the mailing list, the gifts.bitcoin.com, those are huge as a kind of non-standard new next generation onboarding type techniques, right? That haven't been possible in the past. It's fantastic.
Can I send an NFT out on that mailing list thing rather than just Bitcoin Cash? Can I send an SLP NFT?
I think we'll be able to set that up in version 1.1 or version 2.0. But in the first version, it'll just be Bitcoin Cash. But I don't see why not. I think the only thing will be the wallet that's claiming it will have to recognize that there's an NFT token or a SLP token at that address or the address for that private key. Shouldn't be a problem.
Our ticketing system, our tickets are NFT SLP tokens. So that would be a way of distributing tickets, especially for like general admission stuff.
Okay, happy to connect on that front and
Nice.
build the tools that businesses actually need to do the things they're doing. So
Nice. All right. Okay, guys. Well, I don't want to keep everybody, so I'm going to stop the recording now. And then anybody's welcome to hang out if you want and take off if you want. So thank you, everybody, for your time. Really appreciate it. And it was a good discussion.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thank you for the great work you guys are doing. Keep it up.
Okay, thanks. Take care.